Welcome to Journey Through the Gate, your paranormal portal podcast, as we delve into the many questions and wonders brought on by the supernatural experience. What's on the other side of the gate? Let's find out together. Well, I'll tell you what. I'm a tough old bro, but that last one back got me with those animals. And I made the darn thing. How y'all doing? Welcome in to Journey Through the Gate. Are you enjoying the journey? It's turning into an e-ticket ride, isn't it? I'm telling you what, you got to be old to get that one. If you get that, if you know, you know. But wow, it's getting crazy out there. So, are you awake? Just remember, 40,000 foot view. If you start getting too focused on something, it starts to take over. Just back up. Back up. How y'all doing? Welcome, First Floor Audio. If you're not, please drop your link there. And if it won't let you, mods, go in there and grab, if you don't mind. And welcome to all my wonderful Black Ops mods and our wonderful gatekeepers and all our wonderful people here. This is like the best chat ever. Now, first things first, drop your link if you have a channel. Please do, or get a hold of a mod, and let's support our artists and our, we say it all the time, our authors and our craftsmen and our, people, making licorice at home and selling it, whatever your craft, whatever your art, whatever your light, let's spread it out there. So, please do that. And welcome in everybody tonight. Real quick before I start saying hi to everybody, Steve called me a little bit ago. He can't come tonight, so I had to pull something all about. So we're just going to potluck it tonight. I am going to talk a little bit about split spirits, and I think I'd like to get your take on it because there's a lot of theories out there. Very interesting subject, and I'm sure we'll find something to talk about. But Steve is okay. He's not sick or anything. He's moving, and he's got all his stuff all tore up, and he needed the time, and we're going to give it to him because we love him and we want him to get all sorted and situated and happy and absolutely. So we can hang out without. We don't have to have any adults in the house, right? We're good. So anyhow. That last one got me, but boy, I'll tell you, it's an important message. Being aware of your surroundings, being aware of the energy around you. And if you're an empath, if you know anything about empaths, and I am one, and I couldn't begin to scratch the surface on how deep that goes in any direction. I could just, again, like anything else, we're just feeling our way around in the dark here, right? Using our lights, but you can feel when the earth's in trouble, when you can feel when animals are, frightened. You can feel the energy around you. Some people, empaths pick up everybody's feelings in the room. This is a terrible burden to have. I mean, some people just walk around and have to deal with their own stuff, let alone picking up everybody else's, you know. It's and it takes a long time to separate that from your base feelings. You have to get to know what your base feelings are so you can go, wait a minute, that's not me. Get, that's not even mine. Why am I even feeling that? Why I care? Yes, D Rock, he is. He absolutely is. And I don't know about right this minute, but he is when, he's tearing down equipment and everything else, and he couldn't really do the show that he would like to do. So, you know what I mean? When you're packing and when you're moving and when you're trying to get all that stuff sorted, it's a big deal, you know. So anyhow, so we're just going to wish him well. He said he might be able to pop up in the chat. I thought about reaching out to some others, and there's a lot of people that well, I don't want to say a lot of people, but there's a few people that were on my list that are either going through the same thing. Seems everybody's like going in a different direction or moving, or um, some of them are dealing with colds and allergies and all kind of stuff. So I didn't want to bug anybody, so I figured we could just hang out tonight. Is that cool with you guys? Is that a 5-5? Can I get an amen? Can I get a thumbs up? And that's another thing. If you could go back and hit that thumbs up. We had a lot of people last night, and I don't know whether YouTube is. Why would they bother with a small, a little bitty channel that's just minding their own business? But it's possible. I've seen them go up and down and up again in the same day. It's so weird. But if you couldn't go back and give it a thumbs up and come back in, we won't leave without you. Okay. So anyhow, yeah, it's getting to be a real e-ticket ride out there. And back in the day when Disney was movies after on a Sunday night after Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom, if you were in the East and you were getting stuff out of Chicago and New York and all around. And it was a big deal because you got to watch that and then you had to go to bed and go to school the next day. That was our timing, in the 60s and 70s. And we got to see great movies like Swiss Family Robinson and Pinocchio and, all these different movies that Disney made. I think they did like Treasure Island, and they would do all like Song of the South, and they do documentaries, and they do like follow Red Fox around, throughout his life, and nothing bad would ever happen to the fox. A couple of close encounters, but they kept it chill, and it was something, if you got to stay up and see that when I was a little kid. So anyway, back in that kind of Disney, if you were lucky enough to go to Disney World or Disneyland, they gave you a ticket book, and it would cost so much, and you would get so many A ticket ride. An A ticket ride would be like, I can't remember, like almost like a free one, right? And then it would be and C, and it would grow in value all the way up to E. And an E ticket ride was like the Haunted Mansion. Back then they didn't have I don't know if they had the tower, whatever the heck that tower thing was, but the Haunted Mansion, Pirates of the Caribbean, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, maybe, all those big ones. But I remember even like the C tickets were okay, or the B tickets, because even the free stuff was cool. Like they had this one thing, it was called the GE. I can't remember the Hall of Presidents. That probably wasn't an E. It was probably like a C or D or something like that. It was crazy. The e-ticket ones were the big ones where you got on it. Like maybe It's a Small World was one too. Just don't ever do that one, because that one will that's like MK Ultra with singing dolls just over and over. That's some kind of brainwashing torture stuff. Don't get on that ride. Do they still have that at Disney? It's a Small World over and over and over. I'm pretty sure they use that in several several wars to break people. Did you ever see the Disney Wildlife? Wait a minute, let me see. Hello, Jack, by the way. Thank you for being here. spicing up our chat, our little chat family. I appreciate you. Did you ever see the Disney Wildlife special where all the animals gather to eat fermented fruit and they all get drunk? Hilarious. No, but now I want to see it. I want to see that. Is that available? Can somebody give me a link for that? That would be awesome. But monkeys were doing what? Monkeys were picking the fruit, throwing it. That was awesome. That's very cool. No, I might had, because I'll tell you what, you forget that you saw stuff. I mean, think about it. How many things have you seen in your life, And going back over some of these things like the 1970s, the Nimoys, and going back over these old documentaries, and even going back to real, like the silent movies and stuff like that, or the old Universal horror flicks and stuff. You don't realize you saw it until you catch a scene or a glimpse, and you're back in that time, almost like a song, where you're just that kid again, and you're cross-legged on the floor, eating a bowl of cereal with probably 90% sugar, probably wearing whatever the hell you got at the bottom of the box, like on your hand, or like a ring, a Dakota ring, or I used to have cool stuff in cereal boxes when I was a kid. Some of it. I remember back of a cereal box. I can't remember, Super Sugar Crisp maybe. And you could cut out a 45 record off the back of the box. And I got Archie's Sugar. And a dang thing played. How about that? Mutual Omaha's Wild Kingdom. I'm sorry, Vixen. Hey, Vixen. Yep. That's where what's his name would stand there. I forget his name. He'd stand there and say, Marlon Perkins, and he would stand there and say, "I'm going to stand here safely by this beautiful lake, beautiful river in the Amazon, and Jim is going to wrestle an anaconda while I tell you about the life here," or whatever. It's crazy. And I used to hate it when, like, the fox would chase the rabbit, and I can remember my mom sitting behind me on the couch. Now it's nature. Can't get upset. You can't help the rabbit, because then the fox will starve. And she's trying to teach me this. I'm like, bullshit. They both need to be okay. I think that's where my motto, "Make them a sandwich," comes in. If you just make everybody a sandwich, and what kind do you want, and just leave each other alone. Can't we all just get along? Yeah, I hated that as a kid. I'd get up and leave then. It happened early. So hello, Kathleen. Welcome in, War Criminal. D-Rock, we love you. And Edna, hi, sweetheart. Glenn, how you doing? War Criminal, what's hi? Oh, I'm sorry. I got that caught up for a second. Thought we were talking about a military movie. I was like, what? Hey, Vixen. Laura, I'm looking at your wonderful crystal heart. That was so kind of you. Thank you. It's going to make me smile every time I look at it. So what y'all think of the new animal video? Hey, Ted, I saw that Waggy Tails had nothing scary to report. And I just want to make sure I got everybody. So I feel bad Steve can't be here. If you're here for Steve, we hope you'll stay for the fun, and some bacon and some ghosts and some laughs. And we've been known on these impromptu shows to really pull some crazy stuff out of thin air, and maybe learn something. So what I did was I did grab oh, did you love it, Kathleen? Thank you. Some of those animals are so cute. We have so much to learn from nature, much like Marlon Perkins was trying to tell us, and Jim was trying to show us in Mutual Omaha's Wild Kingdom. But man, that's when Disney was Disney. I can't believe I caught that circle back, but I did. And I think of it now, and it's disappointing. It's almost like you always knew it, but you didn't know how bad. I mean, if you guys don't know how bad, I think everything has just been infiltrated, But that's what that's about. You got to put your light out there. We got to find a way to not bounce the darkness, wipe it out. Not the yin yang. No more yin yang. Be gone. Just be gone. Because if you give evil an inch, it'll take a mile. And it's trying to take the whole world, and it's not going to win. It's not going to win. And you're a part of that. That whole thing about stop, regroup, 40,000 foot view. Don't focus on what, note it, make a note of it, put it in your Rolodex, move on, keep gray man in it. Just do your thing, stay creative, stay above that line. That line, so simple to say, right? Where if you stay above above the line, all these higher vibrational emotions, love, happiness, laughter, all those things are above that line. You start getting, lower, like worry, regret, fear, jealousy, hate, anger. You start getting lower. Everybody tells us just stay above the line. The other things can't exist up here, but they keep pulling us down. They keep pulling us down. They keep telling us about this. They'll tell you about the banks or the, equipment moving through the streets and scaring everybody. Oh, it's just this. Oh, it's just that. Oh, I think it's this. Oh, I think it's that. Nobody knows. The people doing it don't even know, for the most part. Just understand that. You take care of your square foot of real estate and just be aware. Just like you would be aware if you went to the grocery store and, you're smart about it and you don't get caught up with where the parking spot is or that crazy person that left their cart or, look at that family coming out with whatever and look at how that guy's dressed. Oh my God, who would wear those shorts? You know what? That's how our mind. Breathe. Look around. Be aware. Do you have to park so close? Would it be a good idea to park out a little bit so you can see, there's no cars next to you, or you can get a better look at your perimeter around your car, get your stuff out, secure your stuff, then put your things in. Don't leave your kids hanging. Don't leave them in the car. I mean, you guys know what I'm talking about. Situational awareness. You get caught up. I got to run in there really quick. I always wonder if people on the road and they're speeding so fast between what I know for sure is going to be some really short stops in between several red lights. Situational awareness, right, Ted? And I wonder, why are you, you almost bumped into 3 cars trying to jump in front of this one just to get up there and stop at the light with the rest of us. The fuck are you thinking? Or you see somebody driving crazy, and you know what my thought is? I bet you've never sat next to a loved one in an ICU unit. I bet you've never had to help strangers out of a car, and they have no idea how hurt they are. The pain hasn't even set in yet. They're already adrenaline and panicked and everything else. And I could go on with the stories, but it's a lesson because you think, what are you doing? Situational awareness. It scares the hell out of me when I'm at work and I'm dealing with people and I'm overhearing conversations on the phone or overhearing, because like I said, I'm head down and I'm working. I'm pounding out work until I need to do otherwise, because I don't want to engage with people. I'm serious. I mean, I will, and when I do, I'm pleasant. But when you're dealing with somebody who says they don't want to be responsible to take their vase of flowers from the table to the kitchen sink and fill it with water because they don't want to be responsible for the care of it, I shouldn't have to do that. This is what I'm hearing in a conversation that my boss is having with a real customer. And my thought is, she called because the water was going down in the bays. I promise you, I know I've said this story before, but it's true. I still can't believe it. And I think to myself, these people are driving cars, So when I say it's an e-ticket ride out there in the world, it's everything. It's multi-layered. But here's the deal, gatekeepers. And believe me, I don't use that lightly. You're all here. We're all trying to learn. And on the road of life, in the journey of life, we're learning. So when we see somebody, we see some poor slob trying to maneuver their way through whatever quagmire they got themselves in, we can reach out and go, hey, yo, dude, I recognize this, and I've been here before, or, I'm familiar with this and I can help you. And then you tell them and they just go, yeah, yeah, yeah. They move on. You're not really sure if it helped or not, but you planted the seed and they moved on. Or sometimes you get to see, hey, Steve, how you doing, baby? I told him you was all an entanglement and boxes and wires and all kind of mess. So we wish you all the best, sugar. I hope you have that all sorted for next Monday. I hate to miss 2 with you. I'll go into some kind of anaphylactic Stockton shock or something. Shockton. Whoop. That might be a bumper sticker. How you doing? Hey, Froze Moments. Hi, sweetie. How you doing? Welcome. So anyway, life right now is an e-ticket ride. And Disney doesn't have those tickets anymore. Disney doesn't have a lot of things it used to have. I'm not sure it ever had it. I just think that the spell was a little stronger back in the day. We were like, oh, look at all the glitter, and this is Cinderella. Oh, beautiful. And, Pinocchio is this. Have you seen Pinocchio with new eyes? Have you looked at that? The Island of Lost Boys, Paradise Island. When they're going to go, they're not going to be boys anymore. I mean, I think there's a lot of things that if you really stretched back and forth, you could fit it into things. Some things you don't have to stretch at all. They just wet right in your face. Yep, there we go. See, I told you. It's boxes and boxes and wires and duct tape and that devil tape, that clear tape that rips all the time. It sticks to itself. But you got to have it, that packing tape. So we wish you lots of love, sweetie. And I hope we can catch you next Monday and during the week on your show. How long is it going to be before you can put up another episode, Steve? Or do you have some loaded? Did you preload some? I don't know why that sounds funny, but it does. See, we're wishing you all the luck. See? Yep. Salem. He's going where they were hanging the witches. Better watch. What situational awareness, Steve? Keep an eye on your 6. People start asking you questions. Don't go over there and start trying to heal people with herbs or nothing. Or I hear they turn on you quick. Might not be that way anymore. Surely not. Surely we've learned our lesson from history, haven't we? What do you think? Looks like we've learned a lot. What a mess. Whew. Telling you what, buckle up. It's going to be a fun ride. It'll be a fun ride. You hang in there, head down, lights on, no fear. Just because you know better, because you're awake and you can see what's going on. It's about time. It's a long fight. This fight's been going on, some of it, thousands of years, Light's going to win this one, though. That's what I believe. I got a mustard seed. Don't make me use it. How about you? Pinocchio. Ooh, let's get that up here. Yeah, man. What surprised you about that? Just everything? Pokey is sure about the third eye and how lying, intoxication, gambling, dumbs down. Yeah. Yep. Yep. And a lot of other things. Because here's the thing. In order for some spells to work to their fruition, the person doing it has to let you know they're doing it. Almost like getting permission, almost like welcoming in a vampire. Almost like, how many different things do we know that you have to give permission for it to take over, or to do whatever it's going to do, or to come in, or to bother you? How many? If you think about it, quite a few. Some of it may be legend, some of it may be true. Ooh, I rhymed. I'm starting to talk like Dr. Seuss. Am I right? How much has to have permissions? How many people seen Nefarious? You know what? I'm gonna get in so much trouble for this, but I'm gonna try it. If we get cut off, bear with me. Somebody do the Jeopardy music. Do 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 do. All right, I think I got it. Hold on one second. Hold on one second. Oh, it's not going to work. Okay. See if I can do it. Okay, I'm back. How many people have seen Nefarious? Show of hands or a show of bacon if you saw Nefarious. The new, am I saying that right? Notorious is Biggie. Nefarious is, I try to remember, Sean Patrick Flanery. Is that correct? Haven't heard about it? Haven't seen it? Okay. All right, so I don't want to spoil, but I will tell you that movie, in its way, and it's very profound, very deep, but it's slow the way you get in there. And you're like, yeah, I'm watching it. It's going to be. And then all of a sudden you're like, what? And then hold on a minute. And you're like, uh-huh. Yup. Wow. Is that good? Does that explain it? Without telling you? Think about it. Because it starts out and it tells you right from the beginning, so this isn't a spoiler, that this killer is possessed. And throughout, you start realizing, holy shit, this is what's going on right now. Whoever did this knew what they were talking about. It's spiritual warfare. Have you seen Fallen with Denzel? Denzel. Man, drop a tear in a heartbeat. Wonderful actor. Love Denzel. Glory? Oh my God. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Who's seen Glory? Oh man, Glory was good. Yep. But Fallen. Fallen is a movie, if you haven't seen it, it goes into a lot of depth, and it's kind of got that National Treasure kind of feel to it, to where not the history part or anything like that, but more of the main character, Denzel, who has yep, Ted's seen it. So help me out here, Ted. It's about a man, and there's of course a deeper story and a quest to try to unravel things, and there's like symbols, and there's coincidences, there's some freaky stuff happens, and basically it unfolds that this guy is fighting a demon that can basically tag and jump and hops from one thing to another. Exactly, Ted. Yep. Exactly. See, we're right on the same page. Yep. The Fallen is a great movie. Yep. Well, D-Rock, you've got some movies to pull. A lot of these you can get on YouTube for free. Just look them up. Quick. I mean, really. And if you have to spend $1.99 to get Fallen or whatever, watch it. I think you get like 3 days, whatever. I've read it on YouTube. I don't do Amazon. It's not that YouTube's better than Amazon. It's just what I have, and I understand it. I can't, that's not a statement. But anyway, and can jump from person to person, living thing. Okay, but it avoids some. And the main thing is avoid some is what we've talked about on the show before, about how it's easier to jump into some. See? And this whole time, this demon is taunting Denzel. And Denzel's losing it as he goes along, and he's getting more serious. It's like he's realizing it's getting deeper, and there's a lot of involved. There's a cabin in the woods, and there's he's a cop, and there's cop friends, and there's people, and there's a lot of red herrings where you're like, do I trust this guy? Is that guy the bad guy? Is it not the bad guy? Is she the bad guy? There's a lot of that going on. Very well done. But the main point is this damn thing literally can jump from person to person and just whoosh, and that person changes, and you could tell it was in because the person would change. I keep in mind, I've seen ghosts do this to people, and they do the same thing. It's like all of a sudden they change. It's just they take on the physicality, the posture, the expressions, the mannerisms of something different. And that's the way it happens in Fallen. And that's the way the guy, when I was bartending and that thing would jump into people, same type of thing. And I hadn't seen Fallen when that had happened. I saw Fallen after that. But the thing that I saw, I'm pretty sure, was just a, dead drunk guy, just found out something he could do, and he was just chilling, and, every once in a while he would do it. And I never had a conversation with him other than the times that he jumped into people and they would order tequila, shot of tequila, no salt. It's in the book. There's the book. You guys see it? It's in there. It's called Shot of Tequila, No Salt. I tell all about it and how he changed. It's very the same with Fallen. Very the same with Fallen. So Nefarious, I highly recommend seeing this. It's so deep, but it is written in the way that we really appreciate when they let your imagination slowly process it and understand and create its own visuals on most of it. And it's an incredible acting between two people across the table, basically. Right. Hey, Tales Told in the Dark. Hey, Cassie, how you doing? Oh, John Goodman is great in it. Yeah, and Froze. Yeah. Froze. Yeah, he was. Yep. Oh, it is Aunt Edna. That's what I'm saying. It is. It's absolutely. I mean, you could see it now. I could show you video from that. If you hadn't seen it, gosh, I don't know if it's been scrubbed or what, but that recent concert, maybe a year ago, maybe last year this time, where all the kids, teenagers, 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds were dying of heart attacks, and they had that thumping music. And, all kinds of stuff happened. Remember, it was real sus. Remember? Everybody was like, man, that's not right. There's something going on here. You can see video of that where black shadows were diving into the crowd. Basically Fallen, but you could see the shadows, dark shadows diving into these kids. And I swear I saw it. And it wasn't photoshopped. It wasn't CGI. We ran it through a bunch of different stuff to make, and they were standing up there saying and chanting this. And even if people are suckered into being part of that energy and helping a spell or whatever you want to call it, a ceremony, and helping it, I think it was, isn't it, Froze? Was it Travis Scott? It could have been. And they're helping the spell. And whether they know it or not, by singing certain lyrics in rhythm, think about it. And I know that sounds crazy. I know I sound like one of those 70s mom was sitting there. I don't want my child listening to Led Zeppelin because if you play it backwards, it says that, such and such. I know it sounds crazy, but it's true. It's true. So, yeah. Are they given permission? Yeah, exactly. Spellcasting, Ted. So they're given permission. without even realizing it. They're suckered into it. And you'd think that, man, that's against the rules, right? They're not knowingly doing it. They're willfully doing it, but they're not knowingly. Does that count? Apparently so. Apparently so. I think it depends on the person too. If you're involved in that and you've got a weak personality or something that creates a weakness like depression or addiction or you know, name your poison really, right? I know I'm rambling here, but all has something to do with everything. It's all been going on so long. And you have to feel that it's going to a head, right? So the thing is like Ted says in here all the time, like we say here all the time, no fear, because a couple of weeks ago somebody was mentioning about going into the light. Was when we were talking about reincarnation. Going into the light is just a trick so you can go back and suffer some more and feed the loosh machine, and basically loosh is an energy that they call it when someone's suffering and depression and the gauntlet, any of that. It's feeding this race of negative whatevers. I can't tell you that's not true. I'd say there's probably more than one group. Who's really behind all of it? Where do you want to go? My thing is this, I'm getting too old to sort it. How about you? Sorting whether Disney, is out to, throw glitter on things and bring out the magic and, talk about wonderful old stories like Cinderella and Treasure Island and The Sword and the Stone and Swiss Family Robinson and all of these things. Or are they really just a sparkly facade that lures people in, until you get so deep into that rabbit hole? I'm late, that you can't get back out again. Is there something dark going on back there? And we've been you know what I mean? The grand illusion. Yeah. So what's going on, first floor? Tomorrow night is my 2nd year anniversary of live shows. Night Rider with Steve Stockton. Excellent. Steve, hey. How come you can be over there and you can't be over here? What's going on, dude? I'm joking. I totally get it. I understand. Steve's two-timing me. Did you see this? Do you see this shit? See? I'm telling you. Gotta watch him. I'm joking. I'm joking. Oh, yeah. Well, see, that's just it. And, we've been in for a long, long time. But, if it worked with that, what else is happening, right? So that's the whole thing. That's the theme. And it's also, as simple as, it doesn't matter where you are, whether it's on a battlefield trying to cross somebody over and you're actually getting resistance from these things who want that suffering to continue. They don't want these things to cross. Also like these ghosts, earthbound spirits to cross. Just like the orphanage, right? All those kids down there, everybody goes down there to talk to them and stuff like that. That's great. But what they might not realize is those two son of a bitches that abuse them in life are there in death and still tormenting them and holding them back. Explains a lot, Aunt Edna. But it's all system. It's all the system of the, it's all been it's all been on purpose. It's all been a plan. It's all been planned for a long time. Like we said, when Brian Bowden was on here, we're talking about Cooper and Mars and God, so many that came out, tried to tell everybody the truth. Like, look, everybody, oh, you're crazy. You're crazy. That never happened. People that believe that 2 planes took out 3 buildings are calling people that are trying to explain to them what really happened crazy. Insert your nut bag here. People that believe that a bullet came down from the 6th floor depository from a man with that weapon and shot him in the neck. It went down through his chest, came out his chest, went straight through, hit Connolly in the back, went down, hit him in the arm, and went down into his wrist and thigh, and then wound up on a gurney at Parkland Hospital, almost in pristine condition. Gerald R. Ford admitted in public, to the public, for the public, that when doing the Warren report, he changed the wound on the diagram, and quote unquote, verbatim, he said, "I did it for the people, so they would better be able to understand what happened." And instead of being punished for that, they put him in position that when they got rid of Nixon, a president would move up. An unelected president would move up. Do you research all that? Don't believe me? Please do. And those people, when you say that, and so much more, will call you crazy. I'll tell you what. I've been crazy a long time. I'm fine with that. But I'm also awake, and I got a 40,000-foot view. And just like those animals in there were trying to tell us, we got to keep the lights on. Motel 6 ain't got nothing on this group. And everybody that we contact and everybody that will listen, that this shit is true. It's been going on. It's not hundreds of years of coincidence here. There's spiritual warfare going on. And we start focusing on all these groups, and we can go down rabbit holes. You got to remember to come back out and get back up and look at the whole big picture and understand that you're going to go nuts if you try to figure out everything in between. All you need to understand is complete and utter darkness and evil, and complete and total unconditional love and light. Where you standing. So when you start moving away from those 2 finites, it starts getting gray in there. Okay, things start getting a little nuts. I think it's getting a little bit easier to see where everybody's standing at this point. And it's important that through it all, we remember what I just said. And it's like, I'm standing in the light. I'm going to bake some cookies. I'm going to plant some flowers. I'm going to fix that engine. I'm going to listen to that song. I'm going to go to that concert. I'm going to make that meal. I'm going to eat that meal. I'm going to teach a child right from wrong. I'm going to polish up my moral compass and sort some stuff. I'm not going to buy this because I don't appreciate the things they're doing. I'm going to put my money here. I'm going to buy, from my hometown or from my state or from my country. And I'm going to promote us. And then you got to realize that a lot of people have done a lot of bad things in your name without your permission. And I'm pretty doggone sure that had a little something to do with a lot of tea that went floating in a harbor. And that was just something that we remember. We tend to remember that, but we forget there was so many families that suffered up to that point for it to get that bad. For people to understand what they had and what they were about to lose if they didn't stand up for their square foot of real estate and think about what they could do to make a difference. And if all that means is telling the truth and keeping your lights on and keeping the creativity going and keep having these conversations and just getting through so you can be on the other side of this to reach in and try to really help people get back on their feet or back on their journey or sort like because they're going to be shaking their heads going, what just happened? And you're going to be staring laughing like, we tried to tell you. We tried to tell you. Told you to buy toilet paper and Spam. Told you better learn how to sew on a button again for a little while. Do what you can. Find a tribe. If your family's not talking to you, that's okay. Get a new family. They'll come around. Or they won't. Got nothing. Can't control that. I think at this point, everybody's tried, right? Are you done? Or do you want to jump up and down on them? Like that dog on the bed. Or that cat that kept smacking that guy. Like, get up, get up. That's been us for years. Right? All right. So, anyway, who wants to hear a ghost story? I just wanted you to understand why I put that together and tried to find some ways to tell you I see it too. And I know how hard it is. It's a struggle every day. Well, you don't have to understand why other people are doing wild things. You just have to understand where it's coming from. And if it's not from the light, you know, and that doesn't mean any one group or the way they, so many things that cause so many wars and so many times where everybody just got off in groups and started pointing out all the things that were different instead of understanding how much we all were really the same. We've all heard, if you cut me, do I not bleed red? You know, that's it. That's it. Nature's important. Trees are important. Bees are important. People are important. You know, just because you believe everybody's got rights and everybody's got a right to, you know, live their life without doing harm to others, especially kids. Man, I'm telling you what, don't get me started on that. I'll get this channel shut down faux show. But you got to be out of your damn mind if you're hurting kids. Yep. I think that's about enough. That's about enough. Amen. All right, these kids, when Steve, I thought I had some other stuff. I didn't. I sometimes I forget what I had on my other computers because I've been like through 3 computers, I think, in a very short time. And so I picked up some stuff, and I thought this was really cool. Now, split souls. I don't know what you guys think about it when you hear that split soul. I've heard Lynn talk about it. I've heard Lynn talk about spirits that have crossed over can sometimes be in 6 places at once. I had never heard 6 places at once, but again, I don't believe I'd ever heard a number at all. Had you? Now, I always thought it was possible to maybe be in a couple of places at once. I'm not saying it's not true. I'm just saying I had not heard the number before. I don't doubt anything when it comes to that because I don't understand it completely. I don't know everything there is to know about it. I mean, does anybody? It seems that even when the dead can come over and communicate, it's either that's not the most important thing to them because it's certainly not their first message in most cases, unless you would count, I'm fine. I'm happy. I'm doing great. If you want to count that, but they don't come over and go, look, as soon as I died, it was crazy. I just, all of a sudden, all the pain was gone. I just souped down my body, started floating around the ceiling, started chilling out and listening to what everybody was saying. And I could kind of feel cold and I could kind of, not really feel cold. And I didn't really know how I got on the ceiling. I just kind of went there. And as soon as I thought about it, it's like, wow, I wonder if I could go outside. And then I was outside. I didn't know how to get back in. And then this went on for a while, and I decided, well, I better float up. I saw a light and got in there, and I met all these people. We had a ham sandwich and sat down and talked about that time when I was 3 years old and I kicked the dog, and then it all started. They don't do that. And they go through all of the steps of everything that happened. We get pieces and parts, and then we got to put those little pieces together. And then you're thinking, wow, would they come over here? Is that really, Aunt Sally? Is Aunt Sally telling me the truth? Is it really, Joe on the EVP that's, telling me he didn't kill whoever, or such and such didn't do this, or, where the insurance papers are? How do you know it's Joe, right? So there's so many things we think we get a grip on a piece, but it's like if you hold it too tight, it disintegrates, or it wasn't what it was supposed to be. So it's very hard to understand what a soul can do. Because to me, I think the confusion is just as I explained. If you have an encounter with a ghost, it seems to be sporadic, sometimes repetitive. When I was writing Cabin 22, I had to think about that. It's like through this whole thing, you got 6 long chapters, like 14, 15 hours on audio, right? It's all on the channel if you hadn't heard Cabin 22 and you like a good ghost story with dogmen and Bigfoot and Halloween and all kinds of stuff in it, ghosts, you name it, mediums. It's got everything. Orbs, soul reapers. It's evil ghost kids. It's got everything in that thing, but it's all free. It's on my channel. You can find it there. It's on a whole playlist. But when I was writing that, I had to think about when the ghost was coming through to do the warnings. It kept talking about murder, danger, and just, it's like it was such an effort for him to get this message out, this one word. And several times he would just repeat it, and he would try to come through a radio, and he came through mediums, trance mediums. He found different ways to just keep giving the same message. And you wonder why, if he had that kind of energy, why didn't he just come out and go, hey, look, such and such happened. This is what happened. This is the person. This is what's going to happen. Just laid it all out. And it never happens that way. Right? So I think to myself, I think as much as I've seen that, it's hard for me to wrap my head around that an earthbound spirit would be so good, or excuse me, let me find a different word. An earthbound spirit would be so enlightened and knowing that these things were possible, that right away they'd be able to start, hey, look what I can do, and split off in a lot of different places and start doing things simultaneously. That's hard. And I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm going, wow, that's a jump. Because most of the ones that I'm familiar with in stories always seem to be very sporadic and very, in personal experience, very, sometimes anxiety, mixed with kind of glitchy. That makes any kind of sense, and if they're caught in some kind of a wow, or in their death state, or in, they're just repeating how they died, and, until they can tell somebody and talk it through and get some kind of good energy back off of that, they're stuck in it because they've done it to themselves, it seems. It doesn't seem like any external forces holding him in that, except in the cases where there are other earthbound or things that were never human around in that area that are holding them and keeping them confused so they can keep them in turmoil so they can feed off of that suffering. That makes sense. So that's why when I think about fractured souls, I can understand a little more than a willful splitting of, I'd really like to go see Aunt Betty and let her know that I've kicked the bucket. She'd probably be concerned. But I'd also like to go see Grandma over in Myrtle Beach, So, hey, since I'm pressed for time, being newly dead and all, I'm going to do both at the same time. And I'm betting you I have that ability. Being newly dead and all, I know how to do that. And then others who struggle to do something and take so much energy. And then you've got the ones that are splitting off in 5 different ways to go visit everybody at the same time. I don't know how that happens. And I don't know how to make that differential. Do you feel what I'm saying? Now, what's easier for me to understand is kind of sort of the kind of fluidity kind of topic I did tonight was split spirit. Now, that's just something, I took out of my pocket. That's not a technical term. Don't go looking up in the Urban Dictionary to see what the definition of that is, because I doubt it'll be there. And if it is, it's probably not this. So, but anyway, what do I mean by that? Okay. Have you ever heard me? I know you've heard me say it if you've been here a while. Talk to somebody who's in a coma because they can hear you. They can hear you. Talk to a patient when you're helping them, even if they're like knocked out on anesthetic or whatever, because in a lot of cases, if it's not real heavily chemically fogged on them, that makes a difference. They can hear you. Are you going to go to Myrtle Beach, Rose? I hope you have a great time. Hope you have a good time. I've never been there. I've been close, but not really. It's amazing how just a couple dozen miles make a difference. All the difference in the world. Put 100 miles on that, right? How you doing, Pam? Welcome in. So, the split souls. If somebody's in a coma, they're out, but they're really still there. In a lot of cases. I mean, I've had personal experience with this. Not, in both sides. One was chemical. Yeah. Now, is the person going to come back and be, think, hey, did this really happen? Or did this, whatever, talk themselves out of it? I can't say that. But have there been cases when people came back and told everybody what they were talking about? Yes, multiple. And I've had it in my own family. So, does that constitute as a split soul or split spirit? 2 places at once? I don't know. Now, how about if you add somebody who's in a coma or in a sleeping state, close to death, even by, months or weeks or days, not just like right before, minutes before. And then they've been seen in other places. I have a story like that tonight. And I think that you are going to enjoy it. Because, again, just when you think you got a handle on this subject, it throws you a curveball. That's why I love it so much. It's just trying to figure it out, but it's just it's enjoying the journey along the way to figuring it out, because it's so much, it's so intriguing, it's so interesting, and also bringing in with this story a little bit more of we made a pact. You got to come back and let me know how many stories have we heard about that? There was a great one I'll tell real fast. It was a famous lady. I can't remember who it was. I think it was Rue McClanahan, tell you the truth, from Golden Girls. Rue. And I think she's just passed too, not so long ago. But she had a friend anyway. He was in a wheelchair, had been roommates and friends in college, just wonderful, stuck together, came in and out of each other's lives. And then finally at the end, he was in an accident or something, wound up in a wheelchair. Great personality, still had a great disposition about things, and just a great friend to her. And he passed. And then he came to her. He said he would come to her and tell, it's true. I'm over here. It's all true. And she was somewhere, I can't remember where, whether she's in the apartment or it was somewhere else, or office or something. And she turned around and there he was standing there. No more wheelchair. And she said he didn't say anything. He was just standing with a smile. And she could hear his voice, his words, and just telling her, I'm fine. Everything is great. And he said something else that I can't remember now. But it was just, his mouth never moved, just like when my mom came. So many of you guys know stories like this too. So I think it's really interesting. And of course, it's ghostly encounters. Oh, wait, I had almost forgot. So before I forget, so I can get it off the screen here, let me, for those of you who have not seen Nefarious, I promise you this is about spiritual warfare. There's a lot of real hit you in the heart and in the gut zingers here, but man, does it put stuff in perspective. So I'm going to see if I can get away with it. If they shut me down, I guess they'd shut me down. We'll just come back on, but I'm going to see if I can share this. Boom. I'll tell you what. You're not going to see that young man get an Oscar. He deserves it. Oops. Oh, shoot. Started again. He deserves one, but he won't get it. You know why? Because he's telling their secrets. He's telling their secrets. So nobody at the Academy or any of those places, the Grammys, the Oscars, nobody. Sean Patrick Flanery, absolutely. He did a great job on Common. You bet he did. And this was put out by people who wanted you to know that this is what's going on. Now, if you're scared to watch because you don't like to see, like The Exorcist concept, nothing. They didn't need it. You know why? They told the truth. That's scary enough. Know the enemy. Right? Bring your mustard seeds. Bring your sage and your light and your incense and your song and your chi and all of it. Because it's needed. It's needed. So I'm glad I remembered to show that to you. I'm sorry I went off and forgot. But all of these, last night was amazing. The stories that we had last night, all of it, intent, faith, light. That one lady who was an artist, and she just went in there and said, I'm not having this anymore. I'm going to get some sweetgrass, which draws spirits. And it does. I have sage mixed with sweetgrass and sage without, and you can use both. One draws in and the other one moves off the negative. But she was just adamant, and she did it in love. And that nun decided to stay. And we all wondered why. Why would she have had such great faith? Was she afraid to face that? I didn't get that feeling. I got it was some kind of a penance, or she knew something that this young lady didn't know. Like there was others there that she didn't want to leave yet. Maybe some scared children that were huddled in the back didn't want to come forward. We don't know. Maybe that nun and that lady had such an exchange of energy and time and did something so profound together that it helped the nuns somehow, that it helped the ladies somehow. They ascended to a different kind of consciousness at that moment. Maybe it was something their souls had to do that we'll never know. But it's so multi-leveled. I don't think that anything that happens in this realm is just so 2D, you know? I think everything is multi-layered, whether you're talking about Bigfoot or ghosts or, any of this. Portals. I heard another thing today that somebody said was another story, and they were talking about something about the corners of a room. And she was describing, I think it might be in this, describing how she was instructed to hit all the corners in the room and with the sage and things like that. And I'm like, well, yeah, of course. But when the guy came on and spoke of it, he said that, again, I hear that these corners are also entrances for ghosts, spirits, and entities to come through. And you wonder why. Why taking two boards, some 2x4s, and creating that kind of angle would make a damn bit of difference to something that's, been around for centuries. Why there? Why through a mirror? Why through a corner of a room or a corner of a ceiling? But then again, how many times have we seen ghosts appearing through corners of a ceiling, right? Or corners of the floor, closets, mirrors. Wild. Where's this rule book? Is it because it's like it represents ley lines? Is it because I have no clue? No clue. But this one's very cool, very multi-layered. Love the lady. Let's take a look.
My mom and dad and I were very close. We did a lot of family things, like we used to, when we were kids, used to go for Sunday drives. I don't know if people do that anymore. And picnics, Lake Ontario Park. And then we had big Christmases at my mother's mother, 35 people. So all sat down to Christmas dinner. Everybody brought something. But
I love that.
We were very, very close family. So I do.
Everybody brought something. The way she said it was absolutely adorable.
I do miss them. I mean, they were strict parents, but still, they were good parents.
Love, one of life's great joys. But does a relationship end when a loved one dies? Or could the bond of love continue into the afterlife? Hello, I'm Lawrence Chow. Today in Ghostly Encounters, we meet Jen and Maria. Both tell us about being surrounded by a loving family in life and in death. One night, over family dinner in Kingston, Ontario, Jen Potvin and her family make an unusual pact. A pact that will eventually give Jen a glimpse into the afterlife.
I've always been intrigued by the unknown, and my mom and dad would listen to me, and they weren't negative about it. They were just would listen, So it was good that I could talk to somebody about it. So one evening, we were sitting at the kitchen table, and I said, "Let's make a family pact, Mom and Dad." And they said, "What's that?" And I said, "Whoever goes first, whoever dies first, come back and tell us, where do you go? What is it like?" And they said, "Fine, that sounds really good. Yes, we will do that. If we're able to do that, we will do that." And I said, "Okay, don't forget." And they agreed. My dad died May 23rd, 1997. He one heart attack. He never had heart problems in his life. After my dad died, he was a very noisy spirit. Day one, he was banging around in the kitchen. At 6 o'clock in the morning, I would hear these pots banging and thumping, like on the table, on the counter, on the stove. I get up and I go out in the kitchen, and it stopped. It had to be Dad, yeah, because there was never any noise in this house till he got up at 6 o'clock in the morning. But after he died, there was that racket in that kitchen. And then during the day, I wouldn't hear anything more, but it was mainly in the morning I heard all this racket. Never heard his voice. I never saw him out there. He didn't cook or anything. Why he was banging all those pots around, I don't know. I think it was just his way of letting us know, I'm still here. And then I would hear the door going down into the basement, clicking open a little bit. I'd be on my computer. I was just signed on and was just clicking away, and you go down, and then you come back up. It wouldn't be very long. It would be about maybe 5-10 minutes, and I hear it click and close. Now, occasionally I have seen my dad. I'll be on my computer, and I just look up, corner of my eye, and see him walking. After my dad died, I'd be on my computer, and I just happened to look up and saw him. He was just in his casual dark pants and a shirt, and just walking towards the chair. You know, he always walked kind of slumped over. Didn't say anything. He didn't look at me. I just said, oh, there's Dad. And he was walking towards the chair he always sat in to watch TV. But then he would just disappear. He never really got to sit down. It didn't frighten me. He never frightened me as my father. I didn't, you know, like maybe it was somebody I didn't know. It would be scary, but I didn't, you know, it was my dad. And I knew he was dead. So I thought, oh, he's still here. My mother was diagnosed with cancer. And her life deteriorated to a point where she just mainly stayed in bed and slept, you know, her life away. And then maybe 3 or 4 days before she passed away, I was getting ready for bed. I came out in the kitchen. There's my father sitting at the kitchen table where he always sat.
I just want to step in here and say, lean in and watch this one, because this one's just a little bit different, and it teaches us a little bit something extra that we can, you know, keep on this journey of trying to figure out what the hell is going on.
Just sitting there, looking normally like my dad always looked. Then I said, what are you doing, Dad? And he looked at me and he said, I'm waiting for your mother. And then, standing right beside my dad was my mother in her nightgown, wringing her hands and looking very worried. And she wasn't dead, but she was standing there. And then her sister, Marguerite, who had passed away a number of years ago. And Marguerite was in her dress that she was buried in. She still looked the same. She hadn't aged anything. She hadn't changed at all. And I said, okay, well, everybody wants to know what happens when you die. And my dad didn't say it. My mother didn't say it, because we had that pact and they were supposed to tell. And my aunt said, somebody will meet you and stay with you forever. And then poof, gone. All 3 of them instantly. And then 3 days later, my mother passed away. And I think my dad knew she was close to death. He was waiting for her, and whatever they're doing, they're together and happy, I am sure. I was glad to see my dad. It made it a lot easier for me knowing that my dad is waiting for my mother, his wife, and she wanted to go and be with him because she wasn't happy anymore. She did not have much of a life. She missed him, he missed her. They wanted to be together. But I was still curious, and that's why I asked. And the answer I got, well, it helped, you know. So I thought, oh, good. I'm glad. Someone's going to meet us. They'll guide us. Maybe my mom and dad. I don't know. We don't know till we go.
Jen says she saw her parents together again, though her mom had not yet died. Our expert Patty Allen says there is the belief that this can happen with gravely ill people as their spirit spends less time with the physical body. Maria Thompson of Ottawa, Ontario, had many special moments with her husband, but she never thought that some of their most memorable would occur after his death.
Okay, before we start that one, let's talk about this last one. Wow, right? Yes, Jack, absolutely. Yep, so beautiful. Yeah, and see, that's the thing. In this, isn't it odd that in so many of these stories, there's what lasts is the love. What lasts is the kindness, and like everything else just seems to go away. And not in every case, but in these cases, and it's that love connection. So, she's got the dad coming back and sitting in the chair and messing up with the kitchen. Maybe he was just trying to get sorted. Maybe he was trying to make noise. Maybe he was trying to find the fifth of whiskey he had hidden in the cabinet, or couldn't remember where he put it, or whatever. Or he was just frustrated and looking for something, or wanted a sandwich. I don't know. We don't know. We tend to go in and say, okay, there's somebody in my kitchen that I can't see causing a ruckus. Okay. Now, how many, depending on who goes in there and who that happened to, you're going to have that many different reactions to that. Screaming, running, calling 911, calling the church, getting a priest there. If you get ghost adventures there, you're going to have demons, or, I mean, that's not a direct knock on them, but I guess it is. I was going to say it isn't, but it is. Because everything's, but here it was. We're not even sure it was her dad, but come on now. Everything's a coincidence, not a coincidence, right? After he died, that's when it started happening early in the morning when he used to get up. Maybe he was just trying to figure out why there wasn't any coffee or whatever. But we can't assume. And this woman is so chill. I don't know how she was at the time, but she certainly was telling this story. I thought she was cute as a bug's ear. The little sayings she had and stuff, it was great. She's like, everybody brought something. They had 25 people at Thanksgiving. It was a wonderful, close family. They had a little pact that if somebody passed, they were supposed to come over and say, and here she is. She goes out in the morning. I think it was the morning, and goes in her kitchen. Oh, there's Dad sitting there at the table. I knew it was Dad. I knew he was dead. I mean, I knew it was a ghost because there he is sitting at the table, sitting in the chair. So she's just, all right. Dad, what are you doing here? I'm waiting for your mom. I'm waiting on your mother. Wow. Mom's not passed. And somebody said in here, I think it was Jack. If I'm wrong, please forgive me. But I think it was, yeah. Lynn Monet. There it is. I still see it in the chat. Reminds me of Lynn Monet's story. Yes. This is exactly what I was going to say, Jack. We're tracking. That they start seeing people. This was one of my earliest experiences with ghosts, but I never considered it really to be this kind of an experience. But my pop was in the nursing home. I can remember the way this place smelled. And I've been in, unfortunately, several since. But I had to be young, 4 or 5, maybe no more. Well, yeah, somewhere around in there. And I remember being in there, and I remember people telling, oh, he's gone. There's just no hope now because he's seeing things. He's talking to people that aren't there. He's seeing I remember somebody, I can't remember which of my aunts, God bless them all. They're all passed now. All of them, my aunts, my uncle Floyd, my Aunt Dottie, my Aunt Jane, my mom, everybody was in that room. My grandmother, Nana, Winetta, they're all gone. So is he. But I could remember as a little kid hearing the adults talk, and they were saying, yeah, such a shame, he's seeing, not making fun of him, but, just trying to express the loss of hope and the absolute assuredness that there was no life left. They'd already said goodbye because he was talking to people that weren't there and saw a Polynesian woman dancing in the corner. And I remember asking, I think my mom, because they kept using Hawaiian and Polynesian and these kind of words. And, the memory is very sporadic, but I remember that being a thing. And me asking what that meant. And my mom saying, using a movie that we had seen as a reference of the girls dancing, Aloha Oi, that I could reference and get a visual. And I'll never forget it. It was a profound time. And I was saying to these adults, as whoever would listen, of course, in that time of extreme, everybody's going through their own agony and sadness and grief and fear and anxiety, whatever. And I'm like, I hear him too. She's there. I see him too. He's not crazy. Don't give up hope. He's not. Papa will pull through, or could pull through. He's not crazy. And I never forgot that because nobody would listen, or they looked at it in a different way because I'm a little kid. And so many little kids go through this. You probably did when you were a little kid, if you had abilities of any kind, or you remember stuff like that. I know Steve has. So, and many other people too. So when you look back at something like that, and I see something like this, that we've at least come that far to where she's so chill with this. And, we've got Lynn telling her stories, and that matches up to dozens more I've heard decades before and up to now. Yet we still have people that would act like my family in that nursing home so long ago, where they thought my pop was crazy because he was talking to people that weren't there, and they were there. He wasn't crazy. He was probably on his way out. And just like these people, so close, or this woman, so close that she could be there in two places at one time, a split soul. And just like Lynn said, they walk you over. And this lady says, her aunt, was it the aunt? I think it was the aunt, right? Who was in the dress that they buried her in. So I'm telling you, it seems to be important. What you that old saying, when you be caught dead in that. I think that means something, but that's a show for another time, I think, right? But it's not the first time I've heard that. I think it's important because eternity and all, that would suck if, like, say you don't get that ability to, do that quick change shit and come out and appear. Because listen, I've known people that have done that have bought I know it sounds crazy and morbid, but I know people that have bought their stuff. And Edna, I bet Aunt Edna's got her, on a hanger somewhere with a note on it. She's that kind, don't you like, because she's adamant, right? I bet. So anyway, I thought this was a cool story. I thought we could learn, learned a lot from it, because it's not the first time I've heard of people doing that split. They're not completely gone. They've got one foot in this world and one foot in the next. And that wonderful man I was talking about that wasn't crazy, he was just saying goodbye and saying hello to some and goodbye to others. And we kind of caught him in that transition. And it's pretty cool to get confirmation after confirmation after confirmation that you're not alone. Even that lady I told the story last night with the plaid. Wow, what a story. Man, what a story that was. It's crap they won't let me show it to you because of that song in the background. But, it was so neat. The smoke came through the screen and she appeared to him just enough. And that was enough human contact before she left, perhaps. We like to think about it that way. But wow, so important that connection. So what do you think about the thought of it's important to make as many of those connections as you possibly can? Those connections of light, those connections of light and love, because like Daniel Brinkley says, when he's hugged, now that he's had several NDEs and crossed over, he says that now he hugs so many people. And when they ask him, hey, you're a hugger, huh? And he says, I'm not hugging you. I'm hugging me because I'm going to need them when I get back on the other side, because I'm going to need that energy. And I know some of the secrets. So he's energized. Do you have Aunt Edna? Do you? No kidding, right? Do you? I bet you do. It's funny. I've thought about it. I thought I had it once, but I outgrew it. So that happens. I was thinking, but I wasn't thinking enough in the right directions. I don't know. Oh, wait, let me see. I couldn't catch the first part. Say my stepfather was screaming for days that the devil was coming after him. Actually felt sorry for the guy. Hey, I wonder if it's true as well. Look, do you guys remember Ghost? Listen, oh man, that there was stuff in that movie, as crazy as it was, with Patrick Swayze, and they're playing in the clay, and it's all, whatever. And the penny where he's trying to concentrate and get that penny up the wall, and it took much energy, and then he handed it to her and it floated in the air towards her. That was wild. That's so true. So true. Right? And I think one of my other favorite parts was when he was on the train and he was trying to learn to be able to move stuff and how to handle certain things. And that one crazy guy on the train he could kick everything, and he was saying you have to concentrate. He was trying too hard. And I often think about ghosts that way, thinking how many go through that, and how does some get so smart right out the gate and doing stuff. I mean, this lady here, as it happens to be, she knew right away, probably because she was so chill and accepting. I believe anyway, my opinion, my theory, that she was so accepting to it, where the next morning, that's when I start hearing things, flying around the kitchen, that banging around. I thought to myself, well, hell, Dad's dead. He's always up at 6 o'clock in the morning. I knew it was him, and he kept doing it. She kind of had this, I probably put a little too much Brooklyn on it, but she had that sweet Canadian thing where, met at Thanksgiving, everybody brought something. She's cute. I just love, if everybody was like that, gosh, what a world, right? And she's got to have some kind of an ability just to be able to see that, all that so clearly. There's dad. There's mom, who's not dead yet, but okay. Hi, Ma. How you doing? And there's Anna, what's her face? Wearing the dress we buried her in. Imagine that. So, hey. she's she 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 says there today, well, okay. We're all here. I got some questions. How about telling me a little bit of what it's like on the other side? What happens when you die? We all want to know. It's funny when she said that, because I realized at that moment, because I've seen this like 5-6 times now, because I watch them, sort them, try to put them in categories, trying to put them together to make sense, and I can't tell you how many times I see it before you see it. So anyway, and she's sitting at the table and she says, well, we're all here together. What's it like on the other side? We'd all like to know. And the funny part is everybody she's talking to is dead or dying. She's the only one that's still. They should know. I mean, you get my point. They should know, right? But it's funny that the ghost actors, they all kind of like look like, yeah, tell us. Yeah, it's like, what's going on? Do they not know? It makes you wonder, right? If you think about it, and that's why it's so important to have shows like this. I say it again. I said it last night. I'll say it again. That just portray it the way the person's telling the story. Does this make sense? What you got, Jack? Speaking of split spirits, was the mom who hadn't passed yet splitting before her death? Yes. Still living, but also that's it exactly, Jack. This is it. That's the whole thing. And it's so cool because it's like you had. Well, I don't know. Let's sort this for a second real quick together. You got the 3 spirits, right, sitting at the table, having coffee. Did they have coffee? I think she should have had coffee there. I mean, think about it. It would have been adorable if she came and just let me make some coffee, a couple biscuits, whatever, and we'll sit down and we'll talk this through. Felt like it should have been a pot of tea or coffee on the table, but anyway. Though her dad's sitting there in his chair, and here's the mom standing here, not dead yet. I don't know. She never said where she was. Now, was she there in the house, like a hospice situation at the house, or was she in another facility? I didn't catch that, but yeah, wow, that would why do I think that would be more? But it would don't you feel that would be more? Like if she was in a hospital across town and she was there instead of just in the bedroom around the corner. I don't know. Does distance matter? Apparently not to a soul like that, right? See? I don't know. All right, you ready for another one? Did we sort that one? It's incredible. It's incredible. And it's amazing how much that story will help you connect into so many other stories and validate those. Because here's strangers, maybe decades apart, that are saying the same things. At what point do we have so much evidence that people stop denying this stuff is true and just chill with it? Can you imagine the energy change, the consciousness shift? I need a new chair so bad. And I just slide continuously. I was like wind up on the floor. So the consciousness shift because of the energy. And I wonder, since going back to the beginning of the show, guys, tell me if you think it. That's what's happening. We're all starting to understand. Look where they got us with the aliens right now. Everybody's talking alien. Now, is that because they want us to prepare so they said we'll swallow the narrative? Like, okay, getting ready, getting in front of it. Here we go. Let's get them all juiced up, and then we'll do some stuff. We'll shoot some, holograms in the sky and drop a couple of whatevers and get everybody all jazzed up, and everybody will be, chilled to listen and behave for a little while and corral some more people, put out the velvet ropes and Everybody start, slowly getting fed into one of those cattle labyrinths. Sorry, I didn't mean to hit the mic. I apologize. Do you see what I'm going through? Like, how many people have been in those lines? Disney had them, great adventures, big events, waiting on some ride at a fair or whatever, and they've got those cattle things that you just, yep. Well, distraction as well as those things will sort some people, because listen, some psyops are listen, everybody's got to move past the whole, go with me here a second. Tell me I'm wrong if you think I'm wrong. At this point, again, we'll just put it on the table. So a psyop, we've got to get away from that neuro-linguistic fuckery. Pardon my language, but at this point, let me tell you something. Don't get on the battlefield if you don't, yeah, it is. So it's a Campbell Soup label. It's the colors in a grocery store. Red makes you hungry and makes you want to spend money. Pink in a locker room and at the any football field, football locker room, stadium, the big leagues, because it makes you docile. The hospital colors, for decades, everything in a hospital wall would be half and half. The bottom half would be like a real light seafoam green, or it would be a pale yellow, and up top would be a bright color or white. Think about why. Color is so powerful. It's such it gets attention with the subconscious conscious at a certain level, right? Because everybody who needs healing and calming is below that line. They're sitting in a wheelchair, they're on a gurney, they're sitting waiting in a waiting room sick, and everybody who's busy and supposed to stay awake, the nurses, the doctors, the orderlies, people are supposed to be running on their feet, are being inspired by the bright colors of the bright yellow and the bright whites with bright light shining off of it, reflecting back, keeping everybody awake. The same feeling of being in a casino in Las Vegas, where they pump in oxygen, no clocks are noticed, the carpet is a certain pattern, a certain color, to melt you into a calming, I really want to stay here. I'd really like to stay here, have some drinks, and spend some money. And those colors all sorted out and studied and planned and planted and manipulated to get you to do whatever it is that you didn't know you wanted to do, or you didn't want to know that you wanted to do it so much for so long, until you got there, and they're just helping you along. It's the same as seeing an advertisement or whatever on a commercial. The songs, the way the songs are, the way the people are dressed, what they say, how they say it, the whole thing, that's a psyop. Then when you start getting it little by little, we're like, man, we're going to get disclosure. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. We're going to, ancient aliens. And they, some big channel puts on this great production, and everybody goes, well, it was really well made, and I really enjoyed it. And the music, the score on that was absolutely gorgeous. And they're feeding you horse shit. They're telling you what they want you to hear. It's propaganda in its best form. If you study back, who owns the station, who owns the production company, who made the film, who wrote the film, who was asked to write the film, who was paid, who paid them, who designed it, who cleared it, what are they telling you? Why are they telling it to you? It's exhausting unless you back up and get to the 40,000 foot view and you go, okay, I don't have to go crazy. I don't have to understand every little thing. This is all a chess game. Whoa. It's easy. It's black and white. Good and evil. And that's not color. That is complete light and the absence of all of that into infinity. And within that darkness is an evil that is afraid of the light. The light is so good that it still feels for that evil because it knew it at a different time. And I'm not talking religion here. I'm talking the existence of two opposite energies. You can start putting whatever you want that makes you comfortable after that, but good and bad, dark and light. And we're all in a battle, and it's a constant battle. So the ones that are leaning more towards that darkness manipulate psyops, propaganda. See Tokyo Rose. See anybody who's ever been serious about winning a war. They're going to fool you. They're going to lie to you. They're going to try to break you down psychologically. They're going to get you thinking about what's your girlfriend doing at home? Is she with Joe? Joe stayed home. You're here. You're losing. And they're having a good time. That gets your mind off the game. And when you haven't eaten, you've been in a foxhole for a while and you've got bullets flying over your head, that might be enough to break you. And when you've been through a couple of years, like the population globally has been through, endless wars and endless constant just right in your face growing and right there to the point where people know this is wonderful and other people on the other side going, holy shit. It's a different kind of war, isn't it? You bet, Sapphire Elf. But everybody here just knows they have to back up, shine the light, be aware, situational awareness. Why? Because you know about this kind of thing. You know how deep it goes. You know how all of it's connected. You got Aunt Edna in the dress they buried her in. They're going, people are going to meet you and stay with you forever and ever. And when she said it like that, I went, well, hold on a minute. Didn't you? Come on now. Be honest. You went, well, wait. Because it's like one of those things. Do we have a say in that? Do we get to pick? What if we get somebody that we go, wait a minute. Is this hell? This is hell, right? This is a joke. This, what? Can you imagine? I know that sounds crazy, but some of you followed me through that and understand exactly what I mean. You feel like somebody comes and gets me and stays with me forever. It's like that question, if you're on a desert island, who would you want to be with? And you got to think, first off the top of your head, you think, and then you think, hold on a minute now. Forever's a long time. Can I rethink that? What's this about Sherman? It was William Tecumseh Sherman during the Civil War. Hold on. What did he do? I got to see that. Wait a minute. I'm on about the Civil War stuff. Hold on. And YouTube, we're talking about the one that happened a century and a half ago. Simple point. Said what? War. Oh, war's hell. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. War's hell. And what did Lee say? It is well that war is so terrible, else we should grow too fond of it. Right? Now, I could have screwed up a couple words, but I think I'm pretty close. But He also quoted the Bible quite a bit about bless thee, O Lord, who blesses my hands to my fingers to war, my hands to fight, my fingers to war. Wow, it's another. I mean, he was a very beloved general. Generally, um, I don't know. I'm no expert in being a general or anything like that. I mean, but he made some decisions, but you do have to admire the man and how he was admired, you know. So everybody's got a story, right? So yeah, this one was good. We could do one more, and I think we're out of here. But I appreciate you guys hanging with me. We talked about some crazy stuff, but I wanted you to understand why I made that intro with those animals, and it's always every week trying to reach out and give you guys a little boost, a little lift in your vibration. And anybody who comes in here, paranormal group, maybe you're not familiar with the channel. I get it. I get it. If you're coming in, you're going, what does that have to do with anything? But I assure you, I don't know. I won't say I know a lot of things and mean it with my soul, but I know this for sure. That laughter and cute animals and nature and motivational sayings and quotes and stories and connection to one's own power and light, and whether you want to add um, a specific tradition or faith or prayer or whatever you want to call it, even if it incantation in some ways, or chant, song, whatever it is that connects you to that light for you. I always thought it was cool in the Buddhist tradition, the gong and the vibrational om, and how it resonates and how it vibrates and connection. Then you hear in another culture at another time, maybe at the same time, other tribes doing exactly the same thing, maybe with a different instrument, but hitting the same vibration for the same reasons. Mind blowing. And in a world like that, you've got people who are sitting in cubicles or driving around in Ferraris, whatever they may be, with standing under acronyms that used to by a wide range of people be thought of as an honorable thing. Oh, thank you so much, Kathleen, for that super sticker. We love you, sweetheart. Thank you so much. Love you. That goes right for Funny Honey and StreamYard. Right back into the podcast. Right back in. Thank you, sweetheart. We love you. We love our gatekeepers. Thank you for the super chats. Thank you for the wonderful comments underneath the videos. I'd love to big shout out to Rocky and the whole fam over there. Thanks for watching the shows. Thanks for getting something out of it. I mean, I'm just a crazy old broad up here yammering on for a couple hours and telling some ghost stories or looking at some aliens or, trying to pull apart a mystery or true crime or something and sorting it out. No, thank you, Sweet Pea. Back at you. So this, that's the thing. It all connects back. PsyOps and neurolinguistic mind screwing. Trying to be clean here. Night, sweetheart. Night, Pammy. It has a purpose. They're trying to sort you. And they're trying to get you to fight against each other. And they're trying to get you to be angry. And they're trying to get you confused. And they're trying to get you scared. And they're trying to freak people out. And they're trying to herd people with possible harpish kind of things. And, again, how many people are at the point, show of bacon, how many people at this point, when they hear a headline or see a news clip or read a Twitter or Insta fame or whatever you want to call it, and Facebook and Meta, the new Meta, Just change the names so what we forget over time. But any of them, how many people read those things or see a picture and you're not sure whether it's, a parody or if it's, come on, man, this isn't true. Really? This can't, what? No, no, somebody's making that up. This is one of those, this is sarcasm. This isn't true. Did a congressman really do that? Did that really happen on the White House lawn? Hold on a minute. They put a flag, what? At the same level as, excuse me? On the Capitol, what? Hold on a minute. I know many of fine men and women that took bullets to honor this country that wouldn't let a flag touch the ground. Drug a bullet-ridden body with one hand across a battlefield to get that flag off the ground and hand it over, and you're telling me you did what? In the people's house? Now look, I never bought into it's all Disneyland and glory, and it's all sparkle and fantasy, Come on, man. I was 30 years ago, I was looking at stuff and I go, it says what in the clouds in Aladdin? No. And you go back and you look and you go, wait a minute, is this Photoshop or is it for real? And then you buy the stories of all the things in some of the earlier cartoons that were just artists that had a bone to pick. It was just, they were just putting things in. And then you find out years later, in diaries and logs and secretaries that, maybe that somebody wrote a tell-all book on one of these characters. And at the same time, there's somebody over here that's releasing a little bit more information. Somehow things match up with stuff you already know. And you go, my God, this has been going on a long time. And these sun guns will do anything to divert your attention, to cause chaos, to cause fear, to cause people to herd into those labyrinths of where they want you to wind up. And they have the absolute unmitigated gall to put velvet ropes there and show you flashy pictures along the way so you don't realize where you're actually going. I'm here to tell you to wake up. Everybody here's awake. How many do you see just herding along? Just be aware. Because just by being aware, just by knowing that with light and with laughter and laughing at them and smiling at them, keep smiling, it makes them nuts. Not buying into their bullshit, taking care of yourself, taking care of each other, helping each other along the way, doing acts of kindness. It gets in their way and it makes it harder and it breaks these spells, and their magic isn't working anymore. Their illusion isn't working anymore. We have seen behind the curtain. It's a shriveled up old dude. A couple of them. It goes way back. Bloodlines go way back. They've made deals with some ancient bitches. But I'm here to tell you. One, they're not the only ones with bloodlines. Two, we've got some pretty heavy dudes too. And we're going to keep the lights on. Because as long as there's one pinpoint of light, darkness doesn't take it. Keep them glowing, everybody. One last one, and then we're out the door. You're going to love this one.
I met my husband in October of 1974 when I went to apply for a position at the Bank of Montreal in Grand Bend. There was a lady that was going on a maternity leave, so I went in to apply for the position. I was hired for 4 months, and the joke became that he hired me for 4 months and took me on for life. And we were married for 24 and a half years before he passed away. We had a very fun-loving marriage. We cared for each other. I mean, it's not that we didn't have our little spats and misunderstandings, but we never went to bed angry at each other. We always made up. So it was just a very nice, loving, friendly companionship marriage. He was my best friend. He was my soulmate and my very, very best friend. Every year, Gary would go off with what I call his golfing buddies for a weekend. So I remember he got in the car and I looked in the back seat. I didn't see him per se. What I saw was a little lost boy. Every year, Gary would go off with what I call his golfing buddies for a weekend. When he was leaving on this Sunday, it was really weird because there was a feeling that I had that, you know, I have to count the minutes that I still have with him. And I remember standing there waiting, and I said to him, you know, so give me a hug. It was such a strong, deep hug that I could almost feel my bones cracking. And when it was over with, I looked at him and I said, whoa, wow. I said, you know, you can give me this kind of hug anytime, any place. I'll take it. So I remember he got in the car and I looked in the back seat. I saw a little lost boy. That's the only way I can explain it. It wasn't my husband that I was seeing. It was a little boy, maybe the age of 6 or 7. He was just a tiny little person in the back seat, and I so wanted to just take that person in my arms and just say, you know, it's okay. If you don't want to go with them, you can stay with me. But I thought, you know, no, you're being very fanciful. But then the car drove off, and because it lasted such a short, like only about 30 seconds or so, I really thought I'm seeing things. So they went off, and I spent the weekend cleaning the house, painting the bedroom, and just getting everything in order. I just felt like I had to have everything ready for his return. And then on Tuesday, when he was supposed to be coming home, my friend came to be with me to tell me that she needed to tell me something, and to tell me that Gary had passed away. Well, everything just stopped. That was, you know, that was the end. So the hospital called me 15 minutes later to tell me that he had had an aneurysm go through his heart. They tried, but they just couldn't save him. The funeral was Saturday. It was really a hard day because I don't like funerals. I've never liked funerals. I've been to a few before then, but I just found them very hard. But I remember sitting beside my youngest daughter, Amelia, and listening to them do the scriptures. And when they were reading the Corinthians 13, you know, love is kind, love is patient, love is not selfish, and that. When they got to the part that said, and love never dies, there was a spirit that I felt behind me, like an aura. It was blue. It was in the same shape as the physical body of my husband. And he stood behind me, and at that moment there was this urgency that came upon me that I had to get up. I needed to say something. You have to understand that up to this minute I am just crying. I mean, I'm almost shaking with the way I'm crying. But as soon as I felt that aura, the crying stopped. I don't remember everything that I said, but I do remember saying that Gary would like me to thank, everybody that's there. Sorry. for their kindness, for supporting his family. So on his behalf, I would like to thank everybody for coming and being there for us. I remember saying that, Gary touched the lives of a lot of people, and I would always remember him for being the kind of person that he was, the kind, considerate, always thinking about, other people, thinking of his family before he thought about himself. But when the funeral was over with, as soon as I had said what I had to say, the aura of the spiritual being was gone. While I was up there, I knew that I had the strength to say what I had to say. And so there was like a calmness about me, because people afterwards told me that my voice never broke. And it was, like I say, it was like an urgency touch. It was like he came to me out of the urgency to make sure that everybody there knew that he appreciated all the support and sympathy that they had given him, the family. But that was the first time. And I think it was his way also to tell me that, what, I'm still here. My body's there, but I'm still here. I remember a week or so after he passed away, I had gone to bed, and I was going to bed sort of early-ish because I found if I slept, the pain wouldn't be there. So I remember going to bed and then all of a sudden feeling somebody beside my bed. All of a sudden I felt, how sometimes when you're sleeping, somebody comes into the room and you can feel them without even opening your eyes, you can feel them. That's what I felt. I felt like there was somebody beside my bed, but I honestly thought that it was my youngest daughter. So I was all prepared when I opened my eyes to say to her, yes, sunshine, just come beside me. But it wasn't my daughter, it was my husband.
I just got to break in here real quick and say, it's one thing to believe, and I have zero doubt that, this is possible, and zero doubt that it happens. And I can't vouch for her telling the truth, but I believe her. Don't you believe her? So, I mean, it's such a personal thing, and you can feel her emotion. You can feel her, like Edna said, or she's a good actress. The thing is why? This is so personal. Why would you would only bring yourself forward and tell a story like this if you thought it could help others through their grief, because she's felt the pain. This is when you start getting people to come out and go, listen, I went through this horrible thing, and I will tell it to you because it's going to give you strength and you understanding. It's, now there are outright liars. Of course we know, but you kind of know it when it's happening. It doesn't have the same feel, but this one, it's a trip. But check it out. Talk about your split souls.
And he stood there and he bent over and he took me in his arms and he gave me a kiss. And people have often said to me that, you were probably dreaming this, but this was a very deep, hard kiss on my lips that I could really feel it. It was a kiss that he would have given me, the type that he would give me when he was alive. And he just said to me he was sorry that he had to leave, but it was his time. He had accomplished what he came on earth to accomplish, but that he loved me. He would always love me. He would always love the girls.
Wow.
He told me to make sure that I don't let them forget him, and told me that although he wasn't there physically, he would always be with me. I told him that I really didn't like him leaving, but I understood that if it was his time, that I had to let him go. When it was time for him to go, he said goodbye to me and said, you know what, go back to sleep now, everything will be all right. And then he was gone. I was at peace. I went back to sleep, and I think for the first time after he passed away, I actually had a good night's sleep. It was the most amazing and awesome feeling.
Wild. Isn't that a great gift? Look at that. I don't know why I love it. It's so macabre. And there's my babies. That spirit. He's on my right. And Bucephus. The babies. That's so cute. Okay, that's enough babies. Okay, so crazy, right? Came and gave her a big old kiss, didn't wild. And I think the more the better example of the split spirit was the kid in the car. She felt like that was him at a younger age. He was going on a ride, sitting in the back seat, you know, and she had that feeling beforehand. Crazy. They are precious. They're my bubs. Got one down here asleep right now. It's one is like a big old stoner. It's like that guy that in the 70s, wherever you went, he was at that party, but he was already passed out and so chill and had the best time. You just missed it, maybe. You know, he's always watching and everything like that. Bucephus is the one just up doing, you know. And it's funny because when they were little, it was the other way, you know. And now it's just spirit, just you can look and he's just passed out somewhere upside down with his legs all spread out, and he's the most chill cat. I think he's got a little of that I know it sounds crazy, but that northern forest cat, you know, some kind of really diluted DNA from like that strain, because he's got his beans are just, it's all hair. He's some kind of a snow cat, you know, in his past. He's mixed with something. Anyway, he's very chill. He's like, you know, like if Shaggy was a cat, he's always like really got a buzz on big time. And he just eats, and he's, you know, and he's so lovey. He'll come about 4 or 5 times a day. He'll come up and just fall on you, and he's just purring so loud, and he's just fall. And you're trying to walk and just stop. You just gotta stop and pet him, stuff like that. And then he goes, "Come here. You want to say hi? Hey, Bubba, Bucephus, you want to come say hi? Come say hi to everybody. I'm bragging on you. Your brother's asleep. Look how big this baby got. I know it's bright lights, just bright lights. Show everybody how handsome you are. Are you handsome? Huh? Do you want a treat? You been a good boy. You seen the birdies? You want to tell everybody about the chippies? Look out there and say hi, world. Bright lights. Say hi, world. See, I got so big. Didn't you? Tell everybody you're spoiled. You tell everybody you got some mousies that you caught mousies. So I'm a hunter. I'm a mean little badass. Yeah. Got the highest score. Yeah. See, when it got really, for some reason, when it got hot outside, we got a new oven, and they didn't patch the hole all the way. And he's good. He's definitely earned his keep, ain't you, Bubby? Yeah. Good boy. You tired? You gonna go night-nights? Yep, we got to shut down the show. You want to tell everybody keep the lights on. Keep your lights on. Right, sugar? There you go. All right, get down. We're going to say goodnight to all these wonderful people. Oh, gosh. Now I'm covered in fur. I love y'all. And he's something, isn't he? He's very cute. Yep, he's a tiger. He's a house panther. I've heard them called. But anyway, they're very spoiled, and they're very sweet, and they light up your life. And find something that does that. It's very important we keep the lights on at this time. But these stories give us hope. I absolutely believe her. I don't know that I understand the whole, you know, thinking about it. If you're trying to really figure what can ghosts do, what are they capable of, what happens in that transition if you do go into the light and you cross over, so to speak, and how long does that change take? How long does it take those earthly burdens they left behind? They must be left behind automatically, because we have people that haven't even crossed over. They're coming out of their body and they're fully intending to go into the light. We've heard these stories, and they already don't feel the pain anymore of the operation that they're watching below, or the accident, or whatever the story may be. It's a trip to try to figure all this stuff out. But then we see a different story tonight. Like, that lady was there and she hadn't even passed yet. And that validates so many stories that Lynn Monet has told us, and Claire Broad, and the wonderful medium based in the UK, I believe Lancashire. And so many wonderful people I've met over these decades. And things they're telling me are matching up, and I speak to people from all over, around the world. And they tell me, on a video I did 5 years ago, 6 years ago, with some wonderful author, wonderful person with wonderful abilities, gifted people, and gifted in so many different, areas of knowledge. And it matches up. What it does is it gives you, dare I say, a knowing. And it gives you the difference. You got to want this now, so bear with me. It gives you the difference in knowing when you have to smile to cover up something else, a different feeling. When you have to smile to get through, say you have to deal with the public in your job or something like that, and you're smiling, and on the inside you're just, but you have to do it. You have to hold that monster down. A smile when you're in a fight with a spouse, or your partner, or whoever you're dating, or whatever, or a kid, when you have to hide your fear. That's a different kind of smile than the kind of smile that comes from deep within, and it comes up with that warm feeling, and it's got a little, kind of, it's not really a big rush of adrenaline. It's more like a warm kind of comfort that just rides through your blood. All of a sudden. It's like when you have been worried about somebody and you haven't seen them in a while, and you go to pick them up at the airport, you see them come down that tunnel, and there they are, and it's no doubt there they are, and it's like, or you lost a kid and you see them, you find them, or a dog, or a cat, or a friend. It's that rush. And it's a smile that comes from deep inside, and it starts here and it moves up and winds up on your face. That's a different kind of smile. That's a smile of knowing. That person, that love, that connection. But it also has to do with knowledge. And when you see the world in chaos, and you see people in chaos, you see them acting stupid, and you see them so arrogant in their whatever nonsense they're spitting out, and you're just looking at them and going, holy shit, is this person driving a car? Am I on the highway with these people? The same people I'm seeing acting like a fool on TV, saying things that they obviously know is a lie, because they said a completely 180 thing not 3 months ago. I've seen the videos. I've watched them together. These are the same people that showed me pictures of a gun range, a famous, contest, whatever, and told me it was Syria. And then they admitted they were wrong. But it was on a crawl across the thing just for a quick second. Okay, and done. Forgiven. Move on. What? Oh my gosh. Now you're telling me the truth? Stop it. It's all a psyop. It's a powerful one. It's a different kind of war. It's information warfare. They're trying to make you think you're crazy. You're not crazy. Keep your lights on. You got your moral compass. You got your mustard seed. You got your own. You got your light. All you got to do is keep it on. And when you're strong and you're recharged, find a way to project it out into the universe. We need every damn bit of it. Every single candle burning. And you can start when you see this craziness and you get that knowing and you see stories like this tonight and you get that knowing, you know darn good and well when she's sitting in that funeral and he's talking about love never dies and she gets that warm feeling behind her like a hand on her shoulder and she knew it was her husband. She knew it. And hear 1,000 other stories just like it. You have a knowing that this isn't it, that love never dies. You can't put out the light. You can't separate yourself from the light. You can only dim it through your choices and letting others drag you into their darkness. Don't you do it. You know, honey, everybody in this chat, you're on the deck of the Titanic. If you can't get to a lifeboat, you know what I mean? You're roping lounge chairs together or whatever. You're floating. You're getting prepared. You're not sitting there making the beds on the Titanic as it goes down and making sure the mint's in the center of the pillow like some of these nut bags. You're getting hell off. Save yourself. Save everybody you care about that'll come along. No sense dragging the draggers. They don't have to get up and fucking walk on their own. Because by then, if they got to crawl to learn how to walk again, to get on their feet, by that time, they will be ready to listen to you. Don't get caught up in the psyop. No fear. Right, Ted? Is Ted still here? We're next week on Ted. All right, guys. Sorry Steve couldn't be here. I hope I talked enough to make up for it. I think I did. I love you all so much. Great stories tonight. Like I said, just another reason for that smile to come from a knowing place and from your light. Because if this is true, the other things are true. And we have the answer. At least that everything's connected. Love never dies. And it's the greatest energy out there. I love y'all. How about a couple more animals? Let's do that one again. And leave on a good high vibe. Let's take a little bit of advice from nature. Because again, it's all connected. I love you all. See you next week. Thanks for being here tonight. Thank you, mods. Please hit the like on the way out. If you're not a subscriber, please do. If it's your first time here, I hope you come back. And hopefully Steve will be on the other end of his journey and starting a new one. And we wish him all the best. And if you're infirmed or sick or worried or scared or need a helping hand, we send you that energy tonight. Keep your feet under the covers and your closet door shut, because there are things that go bump in the night. Keep them on, gatekeepers. I love you.